This is Seeking Catharsis. It's been a while since I recorded. Today's Thanksgiving in the United States, where I am based. It's 2021, and I'm spending Thanksgiving alone. This is actually the second year in a row that I've spent it alone. And the year before that, I spent it with my new husband at a steakhouse alone with him for a couple of hours, after which we went to his best friend's home with some of their relatives, and then my spouse went out with his friends, presumably to hang out with his mistress at the time. But this year feels a lot different for me. I haven't been on this podcast for a while because I've been processing my feelings. I'm finally feeling like I'm in a better place, where I'm finding joy and happiness in my solitude. And I was waiting for this feeling to happen. I thought I'd never know what it felt like to be happy or content again. And it feels really good. So I guess some people might be wondering why I'm spending Thanksgiving alone. In part, it's because this time of the year is really the time for family and love and being around safe people and good food and building memories. And I don't have too much of that right now in my life. I'm still working with my partner, who has been quite abusive to me, negligent, neglectful, mean, and callous, and having that inability to remove myself from his grasp has a real profound impact on my day-to-day. And so when I can, I try to retreat and take the time to rejuvenate and focus on self-care. Also, what's interesting is through this process of going through this trauma of betrayal and devastation, I found that the majority of my network just hasn't really grasped the gravity of it. In fact, I didn't receive any invitations to Thanksgiving, besides a last minute from my one of my in-laws, which I declined, and called and just said, thank you, but I'm going to spend the holiday alone. But it's that idea that what I've gone through, what I'm experiencing, is still so very isolating. And there just isn't a clear indication that it impacts my life on a daily basis. I think because I don't walk around moping, or I don't talk about what has happened, that people think I'm completely healed or that things just go back to normal. But the reality is, for the past 5 years, every major holiday I've spent with my partner and his family, because I didn't have a very stable family background. And so holidays weren't big. And I adopted a lot of his family traditions and customs. And I was really excited about that as I became a member of his family legally. And now, faced with the reality that I am legally a part of the family and have been in their lives for upwards of about 7 years now, that I'm not really truly a part of their lives in a meaningful way. It's just a facade. And at the end of the day, it's his family, not mine. And it just felt like I would be missing something. And I didn't want to spend the holiday with my partner. He did ask me what I was doing for the holidays, and I just thought that in this space of where I am right now, it didn't make sense to spend this time with him, because he is the major cause of my angst. He has harmed me greatly, and I think I would be betraying myself to think that he's someone safe to spend a major holiday with. So I'm proud of myself for just not opening up that door when he did ask me if I had plans. And, I didn't have plans, but I didn't seem receptive or want to appear receptive to making plans with him, which I think is healthy and fair and kind, where, I'm in my own space and headspace, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically, and I really didn't want to have another memory with him for Thanksgiving that was marred with betrayal and sadness and nostalgia. That didn't make any sense to me. And quite honestly, I would much rather be in my own company than be in the company of someone who is emotionally unhealthy for me. So with that said, I'm feeling okay this Thanksgiving. I am extremely grateful for just being in this place where I can reflect and acknowledge my feelings and know that I'm alone, but I'm not lonely, and that I'm okay in my solitude. And this is a feeling that I really can be in for a while. Yes, there are moments where I feel sadness, and I wish that my life hadn't gone in this direction, and that instead of being alone, that 2 years into a marriage to a long-term partner, I'd be happy and breaking bread with family and friends and laughing and maybe perhaps have a child or someone on the way. Or, I think about that and how sometimes I reflect on how different my life is now that I've discovered what I was dealing with. But also a part of me is extremely grateful for finding out that what it was earlier than I wanted, but at least before there were children, and decades more spent with someone who was not reciprocating authentic love and care for me, or rather. I mean, some of the things I've discovered is that he just doesn't like me, and then he talks badly about me and disparages me on a regular basis, and that's extremely painful. And so I guess the self-isolating is pretty good for me, just so I can recover from the mirage that was my life. It's almost like when you have a dream and you dream that you won the lottery, and then something happens, and then you realize in the dream that you lost the money or something, and then you wake up and then you go, wow, that sucked. But then you're like, but I didn't really win the lottery, so it's not like I lost anything really. It really didn't happen. It was just a dream, and then you realize it wasn't bad at all. That's kind of how I feel about my relationship, our relationship. I'm able to pull myself away and detach a lot easier now because it wasn't real. And as painful as that is to know that all of those memories I've spent in time and built with him, all those special moments I thought were just between us, and that he was my best friend and a confidant and someone I can lean on, a rock, and someone on which he could rely. The reality was what I understood never was. And there was nothing but deception. And I know that seems pretty extreme, but when I think about how big the betrayal was and how complicit his network was and is, the more I realize that it was built upon layers of dysfunction and distrust, that the people in his life that knew me through a lens that he reflected on them, which wasn't quite who I was. So maybe they were thinking I was this selfish woman who was a monster to be around and controlling, whatever the narrative was for them to believe that I could deserve any of what happened to me, is really just, it's bizarre, right? It's just, there are just so many layers of like the amount of storytelling and betrayal. So I like that I get to spend this time to reflect, because I get to build my own memories. I get to enjoy being around me. And I know I am someone who I can trust to take care of me and to be kind to myself and to speak nice words of truth and wisdom to myself, and to give myself that care that I need and forgiveness for anything that I've done that may have contributed to my situation today. I hope for those people who are spending time alone this Thanksgiving that you know that you're not alone, that there are so many of us that have chosen to spend the time alone, who need to be alone, who maybe don't have a choice because they may, like last year when I was isolated and alone, you just had to spend it alone for your healing. Just know there are people out here that understand, and you are loved. You deserve everything you want, and know that you're not alone. You shouldn't feel lonely just because you're alone. You're your own best company, and it's okay to be with yourself until you feel safe enough to be around others that can hold your pain and hold your experiences. So that's just what I wanted to share. It's a shorter message, but I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and update you on my progress. Thanks for letting me share, and I hope everyone has a good holiday and is safe and healthy and relaxed. I'll talk to you soon.